Hey guys, it's Ghost Queen. It's Sunday. It's very warm here in Louisiana. It's hot. It's Africa hot. Ooh, I'm watching lizards. I'm watching lizards run around. I didn't know they. Oh my god, he just ran over to the tree. I didn't even know they did that. I thought they just kind of hung around here. I guess they go on the oak trees too. 7 oaks. Lizards on the oaks. So, in thinking this morning, well, a couple things. So, I did a stream last night. It was kind of frustrating because, I do get easily distracted by things. It's part of the whole Asperger's ADD thing. And I kept hearing that buzzing. There was some kind of interference going on last night. So I felt like it was like a shitty stream. I was like, that's kind of sucked. I didn't get the good communication I normally do. However, Mortis the Wizard was kind enough to pop into my stream last night and caught some things that he messaged me about this morning. So that some cool stuff. The wizard came through a few times, as well as at one point I said, I wanted Wayne to make me one of the mirror dark stars, and we have these cool speakers that he has turned into dark stars, and I've been bitching and moaning for him to make me one that I really like. He made number 4, which he sold to Teresa, one of our mods. And I forget, I think it was 19 we sold to Sarah Sinister. Also one of those mirror portal boxes. They're cool. And the spirits repeated back, make me a dark star. So, yeah, I guess they want their own dark stars. We'll have to figure out which spirit wants which one. Maybe we can start naming them after particular spirits. That was kind of cool. So, yeah, and this also just does go to highlight how you just miss so much live and you catch it on review. So that's kind of cool. And I was thinking, about this new series I'm going to do where I'm going to be talking about people in the community I support and people I don't, and whatnot, and for the ones that I support and the ones I don't support, the reasons why. So on that note, I thought it would be appropriate to talk about my own journey in ITC and how I got started and whatnot. So I have a 14-year-old son named Jasper who used to obsessively watch Ghost Adventures, and he got me into watching it. We used to watch it together, and we would watch every single episode. Never missed an episode, and we loved it. I had always been into creepy stuff anyway, and I had always been into ghosts, and I started, I went to my first horror movie, I think, at the age of 5 at a drive-in. And I was reading Stephen King books from a very young age. Huge Stephen King fan. I met him in Maine. I summered in Maine growing up, and I think I was about 17 at the time. And I was in Maine one summer, and I knew we had a family friend that was one of his gardeners who told me he was doing an unannounced book signing at this little local bookstore in Portland, Maine. So, I'm sorry, not Portland, Bangor, Bangor, Maine, where he lives. So we went to, myself and a friend, we went to a guy who was in the Navy. We went to the book signing, and I met Stephen King, got my picture taken with him. He signed a videotape I bought of his wife speaking, and yeah, it was fun. He was really nice, very down to earth, huge, very tall. towered over me. He put his arm around me and he was like towering over me. And I went and saw his house also and took pictures of his house. You know, he's got that really cool house up in Bangor. So, yeah, I've always been into the creepy. And I always believed in ghosts, and I'd had paranormal and supernatural experiences my whole life. So it wasn't a far stretch for me to get interested in paranormal investigating. And the first piece of equipment I bought was the Ovilus 3 made by Digital Dowsing, which I saw on Ghost Adventures. I bought it brand new. I was talking about that last night. And I just started with that. I used to just use it at home and started recording with it. So when I started making little videos with my Ovilus 3 and kind of getting into it, of course I know how to network. I've worked for companies where networking is just part of the deal, part of the job. I know how to network. I know how to research. I know how to find out who's who and what's what very quickly. It's just something I'm good at and something I know how to do. So I immediately, the first person I came upon, really, the first big person I came upon in the paranormal community was Fluffy. And I actually joined one of his groups on Facebook, and well, his one big group, and I didn't really have a big positive experience with the group, and I was considering at the time buying one of his apps. It was like $50. I think it was like it had like angelic music and whatever, and I was going to purchase one, but I was a single mom at the time and didn't have a ton of money coming in, and that was a lot of money for me to spend at that time, $50 on an app. And I was like, well, I think before I do this, I'm going to research it and make sure this is going to be a good investment for my money. And in amongst that research, I came across Mortis the Wizard, and also just a lot of stuff online about Huff. So I guess this is to say too, you should always do your research. If you're going to plunk down any huge amount of money, be smart about it, make sure you're spending your money in a good place. So, yeah, and I started to hear some things that the app, criticisms of the app, that it wasn't working that well. And, and then, I also found out that Extreme Senses made some free apps. Well, they weren't apps, they were software for the computer, but they did a similar type thing. And I was like, well, why am I going to spend, $50 when I can get this computer program that kind of does the same thing for free? So I did. I went and got an Extreme Senses program for my laptop, and I started using that instead. And as I started finding stuff that wasn't, as pricey, and I tried to post about it in Huff's group, Debbie, his wife, was right on top of that, like, nope, that's not allowed here. I'm like, okay, that didn't really seem very fair and biased to me, but whatever. And she was very nasty to me behind the scenes in private messages, not friendly at all, just very nasty. So I was like, I don't think I really like these people. And just didn't have a good experience. I think I ended up getting kicked out of the group. I don't even remember why. I don't think it's hard to get kicked out of that group. And yeah, and so I started using Extreme Senses, one of their free computer programs, and I started watching Mortis the Wizard's videos, and I was just blown away, as everyone who watches his videos are. And I eventually got in touch with him to ask him something about ITC, and we became friendly and we became good friends, and we still are to this day. But somewhere along the line, we became really, really good friends. Now, I'm not going to talk about his personal life, but there were a lot of people that speculated that he and I were romantically involved, which we were not. And that's kind of also goes to show what this community is like. How the gossip mill just churns out shit that isn't true. We weren't romantically involved. We were just really good friends. And so, yeah, that was not true. And then we got in a very large fight over someone. Now, he's a real loyal guy. I've known him for quite a while now, and he's very loyal. And, he's a great man. He really is. He's a good man. He has a huge heart. He always tries to help. He's a helper. He's one of the helpers of the world. And I have a lot of respect for him. And he's very smart. And I love you, Shannon, as you know. You're a great man. So, and I too am very loyal. So, I was blown away by his research. He was very helpful to me and offering me guidance on the research, on ITC research, and sharing ideas and talking about things and whatnot. But there was someone new to the community who I foresaw as being maybe a problem for the community, and we got in a little bit of an argument about it. And that person, I think, did turn out to be a problem for this community. I'm going to talk about that at a later date. But we got in a little private argument about it, and I can be tough. I can be tough on people. And especially if it's somebody I'm close with, I can be a little bit sanctimonious at times. And I was being a little sanctimonious with him. He was irritated with me. He blocked me. That made me even madder. And we got in this big public fight. He made a video about me. I attacked him. I wrote a little blog about him, and we got in this very public fight. And a lot of the people that I had become friends with just sort of turned on me, and they felt like they had to choose sides, and he had been around for a long time. Everybody adores him, and so a lot of people just went with him and just turned against me. And many of those same people at the time who I was friends with, and then, decided they didn't like me because I got in this fight with Shannon, still, feel the same way about me, although he and I went on to mend, privately. And, we rekindled our friendship, and we're still good friends now. But a lot of those same people just decided I was a bad person at that point. Now, do I have any resentment towards Mortis the Wizard because of that happening? No, not at all. I'm a very forgiving person. I just, everybody makes mistakes in life. Everyone makes mistakes in life. And people get heated, and when there's emotions involved, sometimes people do things they wouldn't do in a calmer state. So, and I said a lot of nasty things about him at the time. We both were cruel to each other. Neither one of us was kind or generous. We were both heated. We were in a fight. And But we both forgave each other and we moved on. What are you going to do? You know, that's what friends go through. But it's weird the way that people can sort of get involved, you know, in other people's stuff, especially online like this, you know, and yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting to see how it all played out. So, um, yeah, I do. I guess this can be Mortis the Wizard's video. I do highly recommend Mortis the Wizard. You know, he has the channel, what's it called? Oh, Contact Mortis. That was his first channel. He has a ton of research on that channel. A lot of videos there, his older videos. And then he has, you know, his current channel, Mortis the Wizard. And, you know, if you want to learn about ITC and good techniques and methods on how to get good communication, I really don't think there's anyone out there that has the same sort of content to offer. He's never monetized. He's never asked for money. He uses one radio and that's it, you know, and I don't think that you can really find education about ITC on YouTube that's better than his channel. I don't. So he would be my first recommendation. And you can learn a lot if you just watch all his videos. Now, I have often recommended people on YouTube to other people for various things. And the one thing I always say is watch all the videos. Like if you really want to learn something from these people, you have to watch all the videos, you know, and a lot of people don't do that, but I'm thinking in particular I've often recommended Frater Xavier's channel, Mind and Magic, to people, and I say, go watch all the videos, watch from the start, watch them all. But often people just don't have the focus or patience or time or whatever to do that. But yeah, so, and on that note, Frater Xavier has also mentioned Mortis the Wizard in his videos because he got briefly interested in ITC, bought a PSB7 and started to use it. And he also recommends Mortis the Wizard. So that's definitely somebody you can go and watch to learn about ITC and spirit communication. I'm a lot more lax, you know, I'm a lot more casual and not as serious about the researching, you know, in a scientific manner, you know, what works and what doesn't work. And I'm more of a listener. I'm a little bit more like Frank Sumption was, where I'm more about listening. I just kind of listen. Sometimes that frustrates people. I even noticed last night, you know, sometimes people, they want to ask a lot of questions. They want information. I guess there just hasn't been a ton I've felt that I've wanted to know or needed to know. I'm more interested in just what they have to say. I'm just a listener. That's just it. So I just kind of listen. And what a journey it's been just listening. I've been fascinated. And, you know, that can carry over to life if you just listen to people. Most people just want to be heard. That's the one thing I've learned about the human race in general, is most people just want to be heard. Everybody wants to be heard, you know, and listening is a good skill. You know, if you really listen to people, they'll open up to you. And I have listened to people my whole life, and I've always had people share really intimate details of their lives with me because I listen and I care and I'm interested, you know, so it's a good skill to develop, to be a listener. and to have the patience to listen to a human being, whether they're alive or dead. So, yeah. Um, and I think in my own research with the spirit box, I got to the point where I felt like for me, I had proved it was real communication of some kind. Of course, I can't prove definitively where the communication is coming from, but that it wasn't just radio. I think I proved that on my channel in numerous ways. And I guess it got to the point where I was like, well, I don't know that there's anywhere else to go with that. I've proved it, I've done it. And so then it just kind of became listening really for fun, just to see what the spirits had to say and to give the spirits a voice. As I say, everyone just wants to be heard. So that is also kind of why I want to take some new directions, because I've done what I set out to do with it. I feel I've done. I did that already. So what do I do now? Because it's still a passion, and it's still a huge part of my life, being involved in the paranormal, a huge part of Wayne's life. We're very interested in it. It's a passion that's never going to die. But, you want to have worthwhile pursuits and worthwhile goals with it. So you start thinking about, where can I take this and what good can I do with it? How can I affect the world in some sort of positive way with what I'm doing? And, for me at least, that seems to be something I'd like to do. So, yeah, the cold case thing does interest me. And, I'm going to start doing some work with that. I have, I also would like to help find missing children. That's been another big goal of mine. I've been dancing around for a while, and I guess the reason why I've danced around it is because that will be painful work. That will take a toll on me. It's sort of like the same thing with helping the animals, I want to help animals and I want to help children, but it's painful work and it takes a toll, it really does. It takes a toll on me. And and I have to look out for my own best interests as well. No one else is going to look out for me the way that I'm going to look out for me. So, I have to take care of myself. And, I give a lot of props to the people in the world who, more than me, are willing to do the painful work. Um, you know, I have a friend that works with um, the law dealing with childhood sexual abuse, and he even told me that none of the other cops wanted to do that because it was just, it's ugly, painful work. It's not pretty. Nobody wants to get involved, and that's sad because those are the people that need the most help. So, yeah. Um, I do want to start taking this work in new directions that are going to benefit the world somehow rather than just fuck around with it. So, cold cases, maybe helping to find missing children. A lot of times I do believe missing children are deceased, I think. But for the families, knowing that is closure that they need. So I'm not quite there yet, but I'm inching toward that goal. I have to be in a really, really good place myself to be able to handle that. So, yeah, some future of ITC and where I'm going to take it and where Wayne and I are going to take it. And a recommendation to check out Mortis the Wizard, who I feel is one of the, I have a high bar, I have to give Wayne a little shout out here and say, I feel for him sometimes. I do have a high bar, and I know it's difficult for people oftentimes to meet my high expectations, but I have high expectations for myself. So it's hard not to have them for other people. Um, but my heart's always in the right place, that's it. I guess I have high expectations for myself and for other people because I want to see the world be a better place, and it doesn't take much to look around and see that the world is harsh and it's a cruel, harsh world. And, you know, um, I just want to see it be a better place. So I try to do my little part. So that's it. On that note, I am trying to raise some money on Facebook for our local animal shelter that did take Pacas, the dog that was being abused by one of our neighbors. And I wanted to shout out John Huntington, who kindly made a donation. Thank you, John. Love you. Another good friend, and I'm going to talk about him in another video. Um, and if you have any interest in helping me with that goal of raising some money for this animal shelter, I think I am going to give something away by the end of all this. I might do some streams where I'm trying to actively raise money for this cause in the future. The Facebook thing that I'm doing, it only lasts 7 days, but I am going to send something to, I'm going to randomly pick somebody who's donated and send something out to them. So if you care to make a donation, please do. I'll put a link in the description to that little fundraiser I'm doing on Facebook. I really haven't devoted a ton of time and attention to it. I just kind of put it up there. And whoever donates, it's some money going to the animal shelter. So that can't hurt. It can only help. They definitely need the money. It's a little family-run shelter. So, yeah. Oh man, my brain's just starting to melt. It's just so hot. It's so hot. I'm starting to not think clear. Like I'm starting to focus on the fact that I'm sweating and it's not very comfortable here. We have got to get a pool. Oh God. So, yeah, it's Father's Day. I don't really speak to my father, so, doesn't have a huge amount of meaning for me at the moment, but Wayne's a father, so he's still asleep, but we'll be celebrating the day with him. And for those of you who do have good relationships with your fathers, enjoy the day, treat your dad well, and if you are a father, enjoy the day with your children, providing you're with them. And yeah, have a great day, everybody. It's beautiful here, but a little too hot. And keep your eyes open. I'll be making lots more videos to come. Take care, guys.